Hey everybody, Devin here with wagonwell.com, and today's video are on the 4 metrics that you're going to be watching and understanding and optimizing while you're doing your ad campaigns for basically anything online, for all online digital marketing, but especially for your social media advertising. So the 4 metrics are, and I'll get into these details after I mention them, but the 4 metrics are your impressions, your click-through rate, your bounce rate, and then your conversion rate. So, to put this into like a social media perspective around Facebook and stuff like that, basically your impressions, let's say you get 10,000 impressions, basically you're going to be tracking how many impressions you're getting, and then you're going to be tracking basically your click-through rate, which is on average, about 2 to 3%. So basically, out of your 10,000 impressions, you'll be getting 2 to 3%, and we'll say 2%. Well, 3% doesn't really matter. It'd be 200 or 300 actually potentially interesting, clients. But then the next indicator is going to be your bounce rate. So out of your 200 or 300 people that actually click on your ad and come to your landing page or your website, you might have a bounce rate, let's say 30%. So out of 200, 30% is going to be 60 people. So that's going to drop your number from 200 to 140. And then you have a conversion rate. So out of them 140 people, your conversion rate may only be 3%. And that would mean you're closing about 4 customers, 4.2 actually. So yeah, that is basically how these things will look, when we're given 10,000 impressions. Right now, I believe on Facebook it is $2.80 for cost per 1,000 impressions, or a CPM. Basically what that means is you would spend $28 to get 10,000 impressions, and with a 2% click-through rate, you would get, with a 2% click-through rate and a 30% bounce rate and a 3% conversion rate, you would be getting 4 sales for $28. And depending on what you sell, you may have just made quite a bit of money. So those are the 4 impressions, or the 4 metrics that I really wanted to touch base on in this video. So I'll go into details and explaining a little bit more about what these 4 metrics are. So of course your impression is it's an ad impression. So basically when you're scrolling through Facebook or any social media channel and you see an ad, that is an impression. You are an impression. So like I said, there's basically only a 2% click-through rate, which means 2 out of 100 will actually click on the ad. 98% will just scroll past, maybe not even notice that. So that is what an ad impression is. Now that you notice, or now that you know what an ad impression is, you can do your best to increase your click-through rate of your ad impressions by trying to capture their attention. So yeah, your click-through rate is from clicking on the ad, going onto your lead page. You can actually track to see how many pages they go in, depending on how big your page is. You can have tracking metrics on all of your pages, so you can track that stuff. Basically, if you have like a 2 or 3 page sales funnel, you can see the click-through rate for every single page, and then basically you would have a couple different more click-through rates depending on your page, or your page funnel, whatever, how you have it set up. But then your bounce rate is going to show you how many people get to that page and actually immediately leave. So they are not an ideal client. Maybe they just left and they're on their way back, but you can actually see an average of the amount of people that come to this page and immediately leave. They lost interest. They went elsewhere. So that's a key indicator to keep track of. And the last one, your conversion rate, obviously, is the amount you're converting from coming in. So if let's say you have, let's say you have your 200 with your 30% bounce rate, which drops you down to 140, and a 3% conversion rate would definitely be 4.2 sales. So let's say you're only averaging 2 sales out of your 140 potential leads that have actually clicked on your ads and watched your stuff a little bit. If your conversion rate is really low, you know what you need to change. Same thing with your bounce rate. If your bounce rate is really high, you know that you need to change some things on that page. It's not appealing to your audience, or your audience, you're not bringing the right audience to that page. So these are things to really consider. Back to your conversion rate. If conversion rate is really the last thing to check. If it's actually really low, but your bounce rate's high, it's going to be low. So you need to work on getting your bounce rate up, or possibly bounce rate down actually. So that could be either retargeting the people that watched it, retargeting a different type of audience, or just changing some of the features on your website. So I don't want to get too long in detail with that, but those are your 4 metrics to be paying attention to when advertising, or basically for any sales funnel. Hope you got some value out of this, and see you guys tomorrow.